Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. It is 7 o'clock Sunday evening, time for Sunday Night Live Chat. Thanks for swinging by tonight. All kinds of stuff happening. Obviously, we skipped last week. I was out on the road traveling, so tons of stuff to talk about. No way we're going to squeeze it all in tonight, but we'll work some of it into next week. So everything's up on YouTube. We'll see what happens with Facebook. Yeah, it's already given me error messages on Facebook, so obviously, it's probably not going to work very well for us again tonight. I am going to call my internet provider this week, and if they're not going to get my fiber in here pretty quick, I'm going to go ahead and have them crank my speed up. So hopefully, if they at least crank the speed up on what I've got, maybe that will at least help with the feeds, if nothing else, and get us by until we get fiber in here, because it's been, a couple months now. I've been waiting for them to get my fiber ran, and they haven't done it yet. So either way, we'll try to get the speeds cranked up, so maybe Facebook will start working, and hopefully that will help YouTube as well, and get something to cooperate with a little bit better with us. Anyway, like we said, I was off last week. We were out on the road traveling, did a ton of cool stuff, saw a ton of cool stuff, and so all kinds of neat things going on to talk about tonight. I don't have any comments yet. If anybody has commented, nothing is feeding at all right now. So, but anyway, what's been happening in the last couple weeks since I haven't seen you guys? One of the really interesting things. I'm still getting my error messages on Facebook, so we'll see if it's going to cooperate with us at all tonight. But one of the interesting things that I actually had the opportunity to do and was very impressed with, that I had no clue I would be this impressed with or even have the chance to do. But a couple weeks ago, I drove a Tesla for the first time, which was kind of neat. My cousin Mark was in town from Michigan. He's got one, and he's like, "Man, you got to check this thing out." I was like, "Okay, well, I've been curious about them. I've never had the opportunity to be around one or really check one out." His was a 2013 model, and really a pretty impressive car. I mean, obviously the infrastructure is not everywhere. There's not a charging station on every corner like there is a gas station, as far as being extremely user-friendly, especially in this area. I got John on Facebook with me, so I've got some comments on Facebook. My YouTube screen looks weird for some reason in the comment section. I don't know what it's doing, but something. Oh, there we go. All of a sudden, they just popped up. Lee's on. William's on. Mo's from Philadelphia, or from Pennsylvania. Chris is on. Kevin's on from Houston. So something just happened. There we go. Jim's on. Nate's on. Okay, yeah, we are on. Just something. I don't know. I clicked the button, and all of a sudden, they all popped up. So we are here. It just wasn't telling me. Number one, did you find any info at the HDC factory about the Project AMP, the concept car that became the Henry J and the Allstate? I do not know anything about that project car, or that concept car. That does sound very interesting, though, that I would be curious to maybe do some research on that. That sounds like an interesting topic. But Roger's on with us. Okay, we're all here. I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden it went. So Loch Ness Fox is on. Glad everybody's making it tonight. So we do have a good crowd. It just wasn't feeding me there for a second. So anyway, glad you guys are here. If we get somebody on that's a spammer, just make sure that they know they're not welcome. Obviously, I respond to them. That's what they want. So if we get a spammer, I appreciate your guys' help in running them out of there too. So Facebook, I hope you're hanging in there. I'm still getting error messages, but I hope you're hanging in there. And hopefully next week, if we get the speed ramped up, that will help. George is on. Glad you made it tonight, George. But the Tesla that my cousin had, it was a neat car. I was impressed with it. Knew nothing about them. My cousin is actually 67 Tempest is here. My cousin is actually an electrical engineer. He's been heavily involved with all different facets of electric cars, electric machines and stuff his whole career. He's just a couple years older than me. So, Mark from Syracuse is on. Chopper One made it tonight. Glad you guys all made it. So he's very, very in depth in those circles. In fact, he was working for a company that was working on electric shifters for the OE manufacturers, including the shifter and the new Corvette. Things like that were the projects that he's been working on with his company, which is a direct supplier to the OEs on new vehicle manufacturing. So he's very, very good at that stuff. Tons of knowledge on it, which was great for me because I knew nothing about it. So he was able to explain a lot of it to me. And it was, I was fairly impressed with the car. Let's see, Kevin says, how did it handle? Never really got a chance to really take it into any corners. So that I couldn't tell you. We didn't really get that opportunity. Okay. Loch Ness Fox is actually our friend Robert. He changed the name after the flood his Mustang was in. So he changed it to Loch. So Loch Ness Fox actually is referring to a drowned fox body. So I guess that's kind of catchy, Robert. But one thing about the car, there's a lot of cool features about a Tesla. The screen is huge. I don't know how big the screen is, but I mean, it was big in the middle of the dashboard. And it's just like a big, huge computer. It's so much stuff you can do. You can go in and just touch screen, change the settings on the whole car, on what it's capable of doing, what you want it to do, things like that. Corky's on in Pennsylvania. Glad you made it. But there's just so many cool features about it. The regenerative braking was very interesting. Definitely something you've got to get used to. When you let off the accelerator pedal, can't call it the gas pedal, I guess. The regenerative braking to actually, use that energy to recharge the batteries will literally start pulling you down without using the brakes. My cousin said, he really doesn't even use the brakes anymore. Now that he's used to the car, he just knows how fast to remove his foot from the accelerator to slow it down, to make a turn or come to a stop without even using the brakes. So that was pretty cool. No, we didn't get to ludicrous. So we didn't get to that level, but we did go out on a country road and he let me stand on it a couple of times. And it's really interesting, I guess is the way to put it. When we did it, basically just come to a stop and put your foot on the brake, just like you were going to power brake it. And then you just put the accelerator pedal to the floor and hold it there. And then as soon as you yank off the brake, it takes off, and they take off like a rocket. He told me that those cars, the ones comparable to what we were driving, that they run in the 11s in the quarter mile. So it boogies. It was a neat experience. We even tried the little autopilot thing. You got to push this button or pull this lever and take your hands off the wheel and go. So that was kind of interesting. Like I said, we took it out for about 20 or 30 minutes, and it was a great experience for me. It was so cool. There again, it was still learning about cars, and that's what I like about anything I do. I always want to learn something. I always want to learn more, and that's what was so cool about the opportunity to drive Mark's Tesla. I got to learn more about them, what they do, how they feel, how they act, what they're capable of. Like I said, the screen is huge, and there's so much information in there. Dynamic braking. That's right. So it was neat. It was a great experience. And there again, I got to learn something about a car that I knew absolutely zero about. And they will help plan your trips as far as charging stations. And like I said, my cousin's good. He knows this stuff cold. Like I said, and he's an electrical engineer, so he understands all the ins and outs of these things. And you can bring up on that screen and plan your entire route. And like I said, that screen has got to be 18 or 24 inches tall and 12 or 18 inches wide. I mean, it's big. But you can bring that whole screen up, bring up a map, and it will show you where every charging station is at along your route and help plan your route wherever you're going to make sure you hit a charging station in time. So then I asked him, how long does it take to charge? And he said, if you get their supercharger stations, can take 20 or 30 minutes to recharge. So that's something that, you also got to factor in when you're traveling. It was the first time he had taken a trip this long in it. So it was kind of a learning curve for him as well. But like I said, interesting, cool, different. And just more knowledge. In all honesty, I haven't been that excited about technology in a long time. We talk a lot about old cars on here. We don't talk a lot about new cars as much, but the technology to me was really exciting. So it was cool, and like I said, and it boogied. I was impressed when we stood on that thing of what it was really capable of, and all the cool features and all the neat things about them. So, what's the cost to recharge? That I don't know, because I did ask him that. His car is, I think, a 2013 model, he said, and when his particular car was sold new, it came with a lifetime supercharge contract, so he can charge at any Tesla station and it doesn't cost him anything, because of, I guess like a service contract. You bought a lifetime powertrain warranty for your car. This came with a lifetime charging contract, so he didn't actually have to pay. So that I don't know exactly what the recharge costs. Chopper 1, I've not seen what the Mustang Mach-E runs in the quarters, but so I don't know what the actual times are for that. But after what I felt that Tesla do, and everybody knows an electric motor is instant torque. There's no doubt about it. So it's crazy. Chopper 1 says it's about $20 a charge if you have to pay for it. So that's something that I didn't know. But that is good to know. So George says he heard the batteries have to be buried when they die. That I don't have any clue about. And I know that's a pretty big issue in the electric car world, is what's going to happen to all these batteries if everybody goes all electric. And that's a good question, because I don't know. Oh, Chopper 1 says it was not the Mach-E. It was an actual Mustang that they converted to electric. I did see the article pop up on that, but I didn't read it. But I do remember seeing that's one you're talking about. So, like I said, it's all new to me. It's all Greek to me. What I know about it is what my cousin just taught me about it, and it was cool, and I'm super excited that he let me drive it, gave me the opportunity, and taught me so much about it. So, Jason from Missouri's on. Glad you made it. Classic Ride Society just made it. Glad you're here. See. So, Loch Ness Fox, why don't you dump him next time he goes to space? They're going to come back down, though. So, Classic Ride Society says he considers the Tesla the beginning of the end of cars as we know it. And obviously there's a huge push to electric. Everybody says they're going to be all electric within a few years. Even if everybody goes all electric within a few years, we've still got decades of gasoline powered vehicles before they're, they'll never be phased out, but I mean, it's going to be around. It'll be around for a long, long time because there's still an awful lot of questions about, just like we've just had, what happens to the batteries? Can the grid handle it? How are they going to generate that much more electricity? More coal-fired power plants? Nobody knows. So that's there's still an awful lot of questions before everything's going to be guaranteed mainstream electric vehicles. Chopper One says the batteries get wet, they explode. Well, that could be interesting because those are big batteries. So, and you got to remember that electric cars have been around for well over 100 years. They are nothing new. The technology has gotten caught up to where they're somewhat dependable, but electric cars have been around for well over 100 years. They are nothing new. It's not, like this is a brand new thing that's going to completely make the automobile obsolete as we know it, because the concept has been around since the beginning of automobiles, essentially. Just the technology has changed to where they're becoming somewhat more practical, but I honestly don't believe they are completely practical yet. They're sure not practical here where I live, without putting your own charging station in and knowing how far you can go every day without getting it back home and recharging it. A bunch of comments. Let me get caught up here. Classic Ride Society, the new Tesla doesn't have a steering wheel. It's called a yoke. This one had a steering wheel, so that's all I can tell you about that. Number one, insurance companies are forcing cars like Tesla to be invented like a little. I'm not sure where we're going with that. Number one, I can't follow that. Loch Ness Fox says they will recycle them eventually. I would assume that there has got to be some sort of a recycling plan involved for the batteries, but I don't know what that is yet. Nick's on with us. And there again, and Nick's chiming in. The grid is nowhere close to being ready to handle a country of EVs. So, and that's kind of what everybody's saying. And, you may know a little bit more about it than everybody else, but, yeah, that's something else that's going to have to be taken into consideration. Jim says pull a trailer with solar power panels. Yeah. Chopper One has done some restorations on some electric buggies from the teens. So yes, like I said, this is not a new concept at all. Cameron Burns Garage. Oh, number one had brought Greta up, and Cameron Burns said, don't hate on little Greta. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Like Nick brought up, look at the rolling blackouts in California from AC usage. There's millions and millions of vehicles in California. Plug all those in at the same time, and when they can't handle it now. So another great point. But like I said, for me, it was cool because it was something new, and I was able to learn something. And I love to learn stuff. I always got to learn something. Classic Rides aside, it's not the electric part that will kill the car. It's when they become fully autonomous. They aren't going to want humans driving. And that I don't think I could do. Like I said, I did try it in the Tesla. We did play with it a little bit just for a few miles, just to say I did it and see how it reacted. But if you're not driving your own car, which I don't trust not driving my own car, some people are probably comfortable with it. I'm not one of them. And that's going to remain to be seen in the future as to how many people will be comfortable with a self-driving car and what's going to happen in the future with that. Kevin says the new Tesla factory is coming along in Texas. So that factory is coming together. Chopper One agrees with Nick. Yeah. The grid it's not if the grid can handle it. The grid in California and other places already can't handle what's going on. So, George, was it odd driving a vehicle that was quiet? Yes, it was. It was a little different. The entire concept, the regenerative braking, the quietness, all of that it was different. It was getting used to. Chopper One agrees he likes to be in control of what's going on. Number one, current summer daily driver is a 69 Volkswagen Beetle. And that expected life of a 69 Bug has already outlasted any Tesla. So, and that's another thing Classic Ride Society says, the kids today are probably going to be more comfortable with it than a lot of us are. And there's probably some truth to that statement as well. Jim says it took him a while to even get used to cruise control. Loch Ness Fox, not a good passenger. I am a terrible passenger. So, and that's right, Billy. I have heard the exact same thing. And in fact, I think it is a law. Billy says, seen something about making them put a slow speed noisemaker on them so people can hear them coming. I have read about that, and I believe that is actually mandated, that they have to make some sort of noise. Vince, interested in my promos? No, I don't. I very, very seldom sell promos unless I've got duplicates, and those two I do not have duplicates of. My cousin Mark is on with us, so if you've got any questions about his Tesla, maybe he can give us some more insight on it. So glad he was able to get on with us tonight. He's on Facebook right now. So, but like I said, it was definitely a great experience, and it was super cool, and I was excited to learn about it. Let's see. Randall agrees the grid can't handle what it's got right now. Chopper One says that's pretty much all car guys. We don't like to ride. We want to drive. Nate says a Prius also has a noisemaker. Cameron Burr's Garage. And that's another great point. Cameron Burr's Garage is, as a truck driver, not a fan of self-driving cars at all. And I could see there being a lot of frustration for truckers of people not paying. People don't pay attention the way it is. They're going to pay less attention if they think their car's handling everything. Number one says, make them sound like a Jetsons car. So, but anyway, I wanted to share all that with you guys because it was such a great experience. Can't thank my cousin Mark enough for sharing his car with me and letting me try it. Corey says, what do the batteries cost? I have no clue. I know it's basically like the whole bottom side of the car is the battery, or a good chunk of the bottom side of the car. So I don't have any clue what a battery replacement is. But I'm sure they're not cheap. So that was an exciting experience that I had and wanted to share it with you guys after being able to do it firsthand, touch it, feel it, drive it, and know what they felt like. Like I said, I haven't been excited about technology in a long time, and that car really got me excited about technology again. Let's see. Yeah, number one, that could end up in an entire freeway of piled up cars. Yeah, and there's some truth to that. Like I said, the self-driving thing I can't get into. The electric car thing I was excited about. The all self-driving cars I can't get. And that's true also. Classic Ride Society Tesla is working on autonomous semi trucks. So who knows where that may lead eventually. But it's definitely changing times. The magazine for the night, we're going to do another Popular Mechanics. So it's going to be an interesting one as well. There's a ton of cool stuff in it. So we're going to catch a couple more quick things. And actually, I'm going to probably push some of this stuff off until next week or at this point, because there's no way to squeeze it. I wasn't going to be able to squeeze it all in anyway. But we're going to push some of this stuff off until next week. But we were out on the road last week. We did go up to South Dakota and had a great time up there. Did all the typical stuff. We did Mount Rushmore, went to the Crazy Horse Memorial that they're carving into a mountain up in the same area. Went to a fossil museum, went to the Mammoth site, which is a super cool place. If you've never heard of the Mammoth site in Hot Springs, South Dakota, they've got a place where they found a sinkhole that they have found so far. It was a sinkhole 40,000 years ago. There were several mammoths that had fallen into it, couldn't get out. At this point, they have found remains of 61 mammoths in this one spot. So that was a cool thing to check out. George says, hopefully they will be more affordable soon. And they will be. I mean, that happens with technology all the time. So we did get to catch a lot of those cool spots up in South Dakota. A lot of the typical stuff. George said he wants to see the Crazy Horse Monument. It was better than I thought. Excellent Native American Museum there. And it was a lot better deal than I thought. I've actually started a new YouTube channel for some of this stuff that is not car related. If you guys want to check some of this stuff out, I've got a couple of videos up already from South Dakota. It's just under my name, Chad Ehrlich. I just left the channel as Chad Ehrlich. And I've got a couple things up on there now, and I've got a couple more things I need to post. But if you guys want to check some of that stuff out, some neat stuff, but I didn't want to mix it in with the car stuff. So I thought I'd just throw it on my own channel. And if you guys want to check it out, you can check it out. And I've got one up on a fossil finder museum that we went to in Hot Springs, South Dakota, which was kind of cool because the guy that actually owns the museum was there, and he actually is a paleontologist. And a lot of the stuff in this museum he found, which, a lot of those dinosaur fossil museums you see are all replicas and stuff. There was a lot of real stuff there, and he had actually discovered a lot of it himself. So that was cool. I've got that video up. I've also got a video up. Believe it or not, I did a video on this little hotel we stayed at in Hot Springs, South Dakota, called the Hills Inn. He said, why would you do a video on a hotel? Because this hotel, if any of you guys remember, and I remember like seeing pictures, like picture postcards and stuff from like the 60s. Of course, I wasn't around in the 60s, but I kind of remember a little bit of it back in the late 70s when I was a little kid. This hotel looks like a Holiday Inn from a postcard from 1962. It is very well kept, very clean, very well maintained, but it had like 3 buildings in a U shape for the rooms. And in the center was the little swimming pool. I mean, it literally looked like a postcard from the 60s from somebody's vacation. So I had to do a video on it. It was just something neat, something different. They had mini golf, and plus it was right in Hot Springs, South Dakota, and there were deer walking around on the back edge of the property. We even got some pictures of some of the deer. So that was kind of cool. So I just did a little video and threw it up because there again, it was a really neat little hotel. And like I said, be it from the car guy side of things, it takes you back to what I remember seeing on postcards from the 60s of this type of a hotel. So it was kind of a neat thing. So I did a video on it and threw it up there. Robert, did you see the junkyard with all the old trucks there? I'm not sure where we're at. I didn't hit any junkyards while we were up there. So if there was one right in that vicinity, I missed it. So I'm throwing some of that stuff up on just the Chad Ehrlich channel if you guys want to check that out and see what's going on over there. And but like I said, had a good time, but something to keep in mind. Do not go to South Dakota within 2 weeks of Sturgis. We were about 10 days ahead of Sturgis, and that was too close. I got my first subscriber. Number one already subscribed on the Chad Orlick channel. Thanks, number one. And like I said, it's just going to be stuff that I think is cool. We'll throw up there. So we'll keep the car stuff over there, but anything of interest or kind of neat or kind of interesting, I'm going to throw up on that channel. We were there, like I said, we got up in that area last Sunday, and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right in there. Sturgis starts sometime later this week, I believe. And that is way too close to Sturgis, because everything is already bonkers up there. Of course, didn't realize until we got up there, but Super 8s are $200 a night, and that was already a week ago. So, yeah, not a good time to go. I mean, if you're going to go to South Dakota, make sure you're 2 or 3 weeks or earlier before Sturgis, because a week and a half is not soon enough. And it was everything. Hotels, fuel, everything. As we left, heading east across South Dakota, from out of Rapid City, from the Mount Rushmore area, Sturgis area, heading back towards the east, you could literally watch the fuel prices drop because we were heading east. So if you're heading west into Sturgis, you could literally see the fuel prices going up at every exit as you got closer to Rapid City and to Sturgis and things like that. So Robert said he saw it on Pickers. Okay, that's one that I'm not familiar with and apparently missed. So, but it was a good time, except we went to South Dakota. I think it would be a little cooler and it was still over 100. So we didn't gain much there. But did a lot of other stuff. We actually hit KKOA before we left. The Custom Kemps of America show in Salina, Kansas. Old School just got on. I was glad you made it, Old School. So we did catch KKO in Salina. As always, great show. Tons of cars. And saw a ton of neat stuff there. Saw several friends there. Corky, what were the prices? On fuel, I know that one right outside of Rapid City was like because we had one. We took one of my pickups up, so we had one of the Cummins. And it was like $354 at one exit. We got 10 miles down the road heading east, further away from Rapid City, because we went up to the monuments and stuff first. We did Hot Springs Sunday, and then we did Crazy Horse, and then we did Mount Rushmore, and we did some fossil museums and stuff in Hill City, and then we headed east, heading to the Pioneer Auto Show, and that one exit was $354. 20, 30 miles outside of Rapid City. And the next exit 10 miles down the road was 30 cents cheaper in 10 miles, 15 miles. So it was literally that kind of crazy the closer you got to the Rapid City, Hill City, Sturgis area. Let's see. Kevin says, yeah, you've got to reserve a room a year ahead in Deadwood. That doesn't surprise me a bit. Nick says those all sounds like Northeast prices. Yeah. Old School, the Big Blue Whale. Yep, the Big Blue Whale was cool. We did that a couple months ago. I just finally got that video up when we stopped in Oklahoma and checked out the Big Blue Whale. But KKOA was a great show. They had a small swap meet there. I actually bought parts there too. And another sign, which I know shocks no one on here, that I bought another sign at KKOA in the swap meet area. So we'll get to check that out on one of these Toy Tuesdays coming up. But I did get some parts there, some 42 to 47 Ford truck parts, 47, 48 Chevy car grill. Some of that stuff's already up on Facebook, and I'll start listing some of that stuff on eBay soon. But it was still fun. It got super hot. We went there first thing Saturday morning. Rico and Jess were there with their car club out of Kansas City. Got to see them. Saw a bunch of our other friends. Got to see Tom Allen, our license plate and oil can buddy. So we saw a lot of great people, had a good time, and they had a great show as always with a ton of cool cars. Kevin likes the sign behind us. That's actually just a poster. Vidal Motor Oil. That one is a poster, but it's a neat piece, and it's got great color, and it's in really good shape. So that is a nice piece, and glad you guys liked it as well. Still giving me error messages on Facebook, and our numbers are dropping on there, so I'm sure that we're not feeding good. So hopefully next week I can get that cranked up and see if that helps on that feed. Number one says you couldn't pay me to stay in a room that was full of bikers 2 weeks or 2 decades ago. But I mean, everything up there, I mean, condition wise, it was fine, but it was just, like the Super 8s, at $200 a night. And they didn't actually offer you anything extra for their $200 a night. It was still, a piece of toast and a bowl of cereal for breakfast. I would have thought, well, maybe they'll at least, do something extra for you. But no, it was still a Super 8. It was just $200 a night. So, but it was a good time. It was a good trip. But like I said, we started off with KKOA. We left Saturday morning, went to Salina, which is the other direction from where we went. But obviously, KKOA got canceled last year. We didn't want to miss it this year, so we got over there Saturday morning for 3 or 4 hours and be able to check that out. So had a great time there, and then hit the road and headed northwest to South Dakota. But next week, we will get into the Pioneer Auto Show. That's where we went at the end of the week on Wednesday and Thursday as we headed east or out of Rapid City. And so I got a ton of cool stuff from the Pioneer Auto Show to talk about. And we shot a ton of video there as well. So we'll get into some of that soon. That's right, Randall. It's supply and demand. That's exactly what it is. But what else is going on? Be sure to check out the new video on the SRCA drag strip page, out with the final track polishing at the SRCA drag strip. I just posted a video on that. You want to check that one out. Lucas Oil Race coming up this next weekend at the SRCA drag strip. Midwest Pro Mods coming in shortly after that. So be sure to stay up to date with that. Lots of cool stuff going on there. F&E Collector Auto Auction shaping up. My partner listed a super cool GMC Jimmy, mid-70s, 75, 76. I think the engine's been overhauled in it, but this is a completely original GMC Jimmy from the mid-70s. This thing still has wood grain stickers on the sides of it. It is super cool. Be sure to check that one out, feclassiccarauction.com. And we're building that docket every week. And we've got more cars coming in this week that we should have posted hopefully soon. So be sure to check out FE Collector Auto Auctions either on Facebook or YouTube, or feclassiccarauction.com is the website to keep up with the new inventory coming up on there. But anyway, Pioneer Auto Show, we're not going to get to that tonight. We will push that off till next week because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about there. And like I said, you can check out some of the other videos. I'll get some more South Dakota stuff up here soon. But good trip. Enjoyed it. Actually got a few days away where I wasn't rushing around trying to take care of car stuff all the time. So anyway, let's get into tonight's magazine as we're trucking along here. Like I said, it's going to be another Popular Mechanics. And there's just so much stuff in these things. It's crazy. This one has a ton of car stuff in it. Nate, what's the deadline to register cars for the auction? We actually have cars that will show up that Friday afternoon before the auction. Every year we have 2 or 3 that show up at 2 o'clock on Friday that want to run them. Which the only thing, you're just shooting yourself in the foot because you don't get the marketing. The earlier you get them listed with us, the longer they're out there on our website. Plus they go on Autobuy's website. They go on collectorcar.com. They go on Hemmings Online. They go on Proxy Bid onto their website, and they go onto our website. So obviously with all those platforms that we use, the longer they're out there soaking on all those different platforms, that much better chance of, the 2 guys that want that vehicle finding it. So that's the key. So if you got something that you want to run, or if you know some guys down in your area that do, let me know. We have to come to Hutch this week to get some cars. So if there's some stuff that we need to talk about, be sure to give me a shout, because I think my partner and I are going to run down there this week and bring some cars back that we need to get picked up for the auction. So Nick, glad you made it. Tonight he's got to bail off. My plans are to have the tires, wheels off that Camaro and at the tire shop tomorrow. So we'll get Nick's Camaro on the way to him here soon. Old school FE Classic Car Auction. We're going to see pictures of the Jimmy. feclassiccarauction.com is the website. So it is already posted. It is up on there. It's a neat truck. It really is. So feclassiccarauction.com is where all the pictures are at on the Jimmy. But the Popular Mechanics tonight that we're going to check out. All right, sounds good. Thanks, Nate. All right, Nick, we will be in touch, and we're going to get your Camaro on the way here soon. The Popular Mechanics tonight, February of 1957, the annual auto issue. super cool issue. The cover's awesome. If you're a fan of the year of 1957 when it comes to cars, this is your issue. It is cool. There's a ton of neat stuff in it. And like I said, Popular Mechanics has a lot of stuff in it, and it's not all car stuff, so we got to kind of pick and choose. That's right, old school. It is white with wood grain on the sides, and I think interior and body is completely original. I know the owner did overhaul the engine in it so that it's mechanically great. But, man, you just don't find clean old Jimmys like that. That's why I was so excited. I didn't list it, but it is a local truck. I am going to try to do some video on it as soon as I can. So that's 80,000 miles, and I believe that is correct on that truck. But in the annual auto issue of Popular Mechanics from 1957, these things are huge. These things are like a half an inch thick. There are 328 pages in this magazine. Obviously not all car stuff. So we're going to hunt around a little bit and pick and choose. We're going to check out some really cool stuff. And we're going to start with this one. And this is something there again. We're looking back with hindsight when we look at these magazines, which is so great. That's right. Kevin likes the magazine cover, and it is great. We'll have to look at it again, and we'll have to look at it again at the end. But it is a great cover. But this first article that we're going to check out, and I thought was so cool, is a Rambler. Not just a Rambler, not just a regular Rambler though. Obviously, you know, Rambler was one of the smaller companies at the time. Rambler Rebel has electronic fuel injection. That really stood out to me. Obviously, fuel injection was coming out, you know, in 57. Chevy and Pontiac had it. It was available. It was mechanical. They were not dependable. They were not reliable. They were by far not the best system ever made. Rambler had electronic fuel injection. Now, that MT Pocket Builds made it. That's glad you made it tonight. Obviously, we know now, here again, hindsight's 2020. Here we are, you know, 60-some years later, and we look back and we know it didn't work. We know it didn't stay in production. But this was a system that I believe was similar to the Chrysler system that Chrysler attempted in the same window, which also did not work. It says that it was a small box filled with transistors as the brains of the operation with 6 pieces of data: intake manifold pressure, deceleration cutoff, starting enrichment, idle mixture enrichment, acceleration enrichment, and altitude compensation. And this data is combined to tell the solenoid operated injector valves how much fuel to meter into each cylinder. It's the same system that was used on B-29 bombers. So there again, looking back, we know it didn't work. We know it never made it into production. But, man, how cool would that be to find a 57 Rambler that actually got out of the factory with it and still had it on it? I don't know if any of them actually did get out of the factory with it, but still, there again, looking back with 2020 hindsight to see cool stuff like that was neat. The next thing we're going to talk about, another half-page article, this one on the 57 Pontiacs. Pontiac shows the limited edition convertible, once again talking about fuel injection. But this shows the Bonneville convertible as well as the Transcontinental Safari wagon, the top-of-the-line special edition 57 Pontiacs. If you're not familiar with them, the 57 Bonnevilles all came with factory fuel injection. However, it was the mechanical unit that they're, again, not as dependable as an electronic unit, but they did have it. Let's see, what's the next thing I had marked down for you guys? Once again, Cadillac. L in North Carolina, didn't the Rambler come with a 327 engine? Rambler did have a 327. I don't think it was quite that early. I think it was in the 60s that they had the 327. I would have to double check that. But, yes, they did actually have a 327 Rambler. Morgan, hello from the old salt plant. Glad you made it, Morgan. Another half-page article on a new 1957 car, the 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham. These cars were amazing, very limited production. Only a handful were made. 300-400, something like that is what I want to say. The four-door hardtop suicide doors. These are the cars that had stainless steel roof skin on them. Or I think it was just a skin that went on the roof, not necessarily the roof skin itself, but it was stainless steel. These cars were amazing. They were top of the line. The Eldorado Brougham was at that time. Now we're talking new 1957 cars, so some of this wasn't finalized. It was expected to cost $12,500 in 1957, which was insane. I mean, I think you could almost buy a house for $12,557 in 1957. Big news on the Brougham is its air suspension, which we know a lot of 58 GMs had, but very little in 57. The engine develops 325 horsepower. Plans to include fuel injection on the Cadillac were dropped. And they went with dual quads on it. However, you may have your Brougham carpeted with mutton, especially processed lambskin. The glove box comes with fitted compact lipstick, cigarette case, drinking cups, and an extra large vanity mirror. And if I remember correctly, the drinking cups were basically shot glasses, factory. I mean, they came with them. So, really, the 57 Eldorado Brougham was a very, very special car, and it actually continues over to this side where it shows the chassis shot. We can see the Batwing air cleaner for the dual quads that those cars had in them, and super, super neat deal. Rico and Jess finally got here. That's all right. We've already been talking about you, so. Now, we're talking about, obviously, the new 1957 cars. There was a cardboard pullout or a heavy paper pullout in this issue of Popular Mechanics from February of 57. That's right, Kevin. Luxury and styling at its best, and that's exactly what it was. Those cars are amazing. If you ever have the opportunity to see one today, they are amazing cars. Carry the facts in your pocket. Here's how to trim and fold this chart to fit in your wallet. Popular Mechanics' famed auto section chart starts here. You can cut this out, showed you how to cut it, fold it to put it in your wallet, and it gave you specifications on the new 1957 cars, so you could take those with you in your wallet and have a quick reference guide as you were out car shopping in 1957. This one's still intact, was never cut out. So that was pretty cool. That's right, empty pocketbooks. You put shot glasses in your car now and you get stopped. But, really neat deal. And remember, we were talking about the 57 Eldorado Brougham was expected to retail for around $12,500. If we look at this chart here where it shows your lowest price four-door model, your basically base price for a particular vehicle in that you may or may not be shopping for, when we look at it here, a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air with a V8, a base V8 Bel Air, the lowest price of it, it was $2,405. So a brand new 57 Bel Air with a V8. Now, it probably didn't have a lot of other options because this was the base price was $2,400. You could buy 5 base 57 Bel Airs for what one Eldorado Brougham cost in 57. So that kind of puts it into perspective. But they're a cool piece to still be in there, have all that stuff broken down, have a quick reference chart. It told you the base price of the lowest model or the lowest price on the base four-door, shipping weight, wheelbase length, width, height, displacement, maximum horsepower, compression ratio, torque, bore and stroke. It actually put bore and stroke on there, which most people today wouldn't even know what bore and stroke meant if you put it on your new car reference sheet. But that's the information they had on there for people to check out. So that's what, was kind of neat to look at. And all this stuff is there, continues on to the back where you could even had more info. So super cool deal there as well. Like I said, this is a great issue of Popular Mechanics. We'll keep rolling here because if we don't, we're not going to get everything in yet tonight. They did, and there's where they really started getting into a lot of the new car stuff. The parade of 57 cars, where they were given a snapshot of all of them, the 57 Buick, an absolutely stunning car, 57 Cadillac. 1957 was such an amazing year for all designers, really. Jerry's on. Glad you made it tonight. Got on Facebook. So we've still got a few people hanging in there with Facebook. Hopefully it's somewhat feeding. It's still giving me error messages. It does give us a chart right here. Production of passenger cars in 1956. Chevrolet 1.4 million cars. Ford 1.182 million cars. Buick was third with 470,000 cars. And this is 1956 numbers. But the parade of 57 cars continues for several pages throughout the different manufacturers. So, like I said, just that's the problem. Too much cool stuff, not enough time, because we could be on here all night. But man, just so much neat stuff. Lance, a little late, but Ford, at least you still made it. And more specifications here. And here we've got a couple of things that are towards the end of this article. The special sports type personal cars, which this is kind of cool to check out as well. 300C, Corvette, Golden Hawk, and the Thunderbird, the special sport type personal cars, as well as a more detailed chart of specifications for the 1957 cars. That's right, Kevin. This magazine is in pretty good shape. I bought hundreds of these at an auction several years ago, and they were all looked like basically wooden drawers, like out of dressers, and just hundreds of them been lined up in there for decades. So they had been pretty well preserved. And I've got them back into the 30s. This collection was from the 30s up into the 60s. There's hundreds of them that I got at that auction. So neat stuff. But let's keep rolling. Like I said, we could be in this magazine all night, and we can't do that. Let's see here. A couple more things we want to check out. Something else that in 1957, once again, we're looking back with 2020 hindsight, do small cars make sense? Obviously, in 1957, all the American manufacturers were still full-size cars, 57 Chevy, 57 Ford, 57 Plymouth. But what they were starting to get into as we turn the page, the Citroen, the Lloyd, the Renault, the Volkswagen, Volvo, the Nash Metropolitan, one of the few, I think the only American car in this chart. So they were, this was already, people were already starting to see this coming, these small cars, lighter, more fuel efficient, as we know now in 1960 when the Corvair came out and everybody started making smaller cars within the first few years of the early 60s, we know now there was a demand for it and it did become a thing. Something else I thought was kind of cool, we'll look at real quick. Like I said, this is Popular Mechanics. They were obviously well known for a lot of personal type stuff. Personal type projects, do it yourself, DIY, build it in your garage type stuff. And there's a cool car article on that, so I want to catch. William, this is a February 1957 issue. Great cover. We can always look at the cover. Here's the date, February of 57. But hey, if nothing else, it's another excuse to look at the cover because the cover is so killer on this thing. This article is called Build the Bug, your personal Sportster for $400. Right over here shows a drawing of it, and it does get into some of the technical aspects of building your own bug for $400. As we flip the page, it gives a fairly detailed, especially for 1957, considering a lot of this had to be drawn, breakdown of the chassis and the engine layout, differential layout, configuration, radiator mount, springs, all that type of stuff. Now, this obviously is 1957 DIY, but it's cool. And that's one of the things about Popular Mechanics that you don't see in a lot of these other magazines. So much DIY that when it does come to our area of cars, it's really cool stuff to check out and see. How about some ads? Let's check out some ads. Once again, tons of cool stuff in here. Starting off right here on page number 2, announcing the mighty Chrysler 300C, America's most powerful car, 375 horsepower. And there she is. Great ad, black and white, but it does have the Hemi in there. It has a great picture of the convertible. 57, that car should have been a 392 Hemi in 57. So, yeah, that's like MT Pocketbill. But they were pretty ugly. Well, it didn't say it was going to win a beauty contest. It said build your own Sportster. So it didn't say it was a pretty Sportster. It said, but you could build it your own in your own garage. Let's see, something else that kind of stood out in our world, and most of us are familiar with these. In fact, we've got them on the shelf right here behind us. Back in the day, a very, very common thing you found in any repair shop and in most home shops as well. The motor's repair manual. They had part numbers, parts listings, specifications, flat rate times, things like that on how to do some repair work. And back in the day, these things were everywhere. And William was a fan of the Bugs and the Metros, so yeah, it was neat to see some of that in the small car section. Motors manuals, obviously, back in the day, obviously it's all computerized now, but back in the day, motors manuals were they were everywhere. I mean, I've got them on the shelf right here. I still keep some here to look parts up in and things. So it's crazy, but in fact, there's a 1957 right there. The one I turned around and grabbed was the 1957 motors off of the shelf to match the motors manual ad. So there we go. We got the real thing and the ad. James is back with us. Glad you made it, James. Let's see. Let's get the motors manual out of the way and let's go to some Jeep stuff. An ad for some Jeep stuff. Obviously, Jeeps back by 1957, Jeeps have been out for about 10 years, but still extremely basic. Still, a new Unlimited, not exactly basic what you can get on them, but in the late 50s, a Jeep was pretty basic. There wasn't much to them. George, my neighbor as a teenager had a 57 300C convertible that he gave me a ride in with dual quads. Man, those are such great cars, and you just don't see them very often anymore today. But man, they are neat cars. There is no doubt about it. I thought this was kind of cool when we talk about the, how rudimentary, how basic Jeeps were. If you had a Jeep back in the day, you could get a Koenig all steel cab. I thought this was kind of cool. Right over here has a picture of a Jeep where you can order a half or a full cab for your Jeep. I thought that was pretty cool because there again, when we look at, we're looking back with 2020 hindsight, we look at the new Unlimited Jeeps now with everything on them, leather interior and heated seats. And you think back to what Jeeps were, you had to buy a top for it. I mean, you didn't even get doors, so it was neat to see that ad and check that out. Let's jump up a couple of more pages here. And I thought this was a great ad. This was a full page ad. These guys kind of went all out. Number one, his neighbor at the lake still has a World War II Jeep that's original wiring. So there again, they were basic. They were cool. Today they're neat, but you wouldn't want to drive them every day. This ad, full page, saves $700 and up with the Dragster 500 Turbo Electric Supercharger. So I thought this was kind of neat. There again, I don't know how efficient they were. They never really took off, so I don't think they were super efficient. But there again, still a cool ad to look back, to take a glimpse back in time that's what they did. So that was what they were trying to push. There again, there's a lot of technology in this ad that we've already seen with the electronic fuel injection and things like that did not take off at that point. So that's right, Kevin. Jeeps were military in World War II, and when they went to market, there wasn't many more features to them. Let's see. A couple more here. I thought this was a neat one. Obviously, a lot of us that restores. That's right. George used to be able to order a Jeep in a crate. Obviously, if you restore a GM car, T3 headlights are a big deal, getting original T3 headlights. This is an ad for T3 headlights. I thought that was really cool. Guide actually specifically touting their T3 headlights. Guide presents a big difference in headlamps. The T3 headlamp shows the testing, the technology. Pretty neat stuff. Kind of stood out that they actually specifically said T3 in the ad for as kind of a big a deal as those have gotten to be. Let's flip forward here a few more pages. Like I said, there's so ungodly much cool stuff in here, but no possible way to catch it all. But there again, we're talking about the beginnings of fuel injection, but we still had pedigreed parts for your carb or carb. They actually even had a little color in this ad. That was definitely something different. And not to be outdone, just a page later, we have the Rochester carb ad, and they had a full page with a little color in the Rochester carb ad as well. While we're talking about Jeeps, something else that has been around for a long time, probably longer than a lot of us realize, Warn Lockout hubs. They had a cool ad in here for four-wheel drive stuff. Obviously, in 57, there really wasn't any factory four-wheel drive stuff other than Jeeps. GM was a NAPCO conversion. Ford was a Marmon Harrington conversion. So, lockout hubs, things like that, not that common. The four-wheel drive stuff were aftermarket conversions. Now, within a couple of years of this, the manufacturers started going to factory four-wheel drives. In 1957, it was conversion stuff for the most part. George says the guide made the lenses on all lenses on his 55 Ols. That's right. That was guide kind of took care of all that stuff for GM back in that day. And one other ad that we're going to catch before we get into the raffle and the trivia and everything is definitely something in the past that I do remember using, but I'm pretty sure I will probably be the last generation that even probably will know what this word means. And in 1957, they were a huge deal. And, but definitely a thing of the past that will never come back. And that is the Encyclopedia Britannica. They had the whole inside back cover with an actual full color ad. That's how big encyclopedias were at the time. They had a full color ad, the entire back cover. Obviously, in today's world, you went and told a kid in high school you need to look it up in an encyclopedia. He would probably have no clue what you were talking about. But the Encyclopedia Britannica, huge, huge thing back in the day. So that's pretty cool stuff too. Old school says Mr. Kid Flyers knows stuff. Yeah, Tim is pretty sharp. He is. There's no doubt about it. I know Tim pretty well, and he does know a lot of this. He's pretty good on a lot of this car stuff as well. So that's what we've got for the February 1957 issue of Popular Mechanics, the annual auto issue. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of cool stuff. And like I said, this thing is so thick. It is literally like a half an inch thick. There is so much cool stuff in here that isn't car related. Obviously on here, we try to stick with the car related stuff. We'll throw a few things in here and there, but man, there was a lot of neat stuff in here. Kevin says his uncle went door to door selling in the Encyclopedia Britannicas. George says that was eons ago. Yep. And James says he used to love them as well. Definitely a thing of the past. So when I saw that ad, I was like, we need to talk about that too, because it is something that we don't see or even think about anymore with the internet. We're used to punching it in and boop, the answer pops up in front of you. So anyway, that's what we had for the magazine tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a great one. I enjoyed going through it and looking all that stuff up and had a lot of fun at it. So let's get into tonight's trivia. Let's give away some Hemi valve covers, and we'll talk about some new inventory and some new videos that are coming up. So let's get into trivia tonight. Tonight, this can's got a little surface rust on it, but it is an old metal all steel can. It is a Mobil Oil outboard can. This is all surface rust. It is not rusted through. We can still see the Pegasus there. The Mobil Oil outboard is very clear, as well as the Mobil badge on the back. It's got a cool chart on the back as well for that to show for mixtures and things like that. So let's see, lots of comments. Yeah, and Kevin says, and then there was Google, says Kevin. George says, thanks, he enjoyed it. Old school, 88 to 95 Civics and CRXs. I don't know a thing about them. Asian stuff, thing about any of it. I don't really keep any of it. I've got one 280Z out there. Is literally the only thing I've got like that. I don't know that market. I've never messed with them, and I don't really know anything about them at all. MT Pocket builds, his parents owned a set. My parents owned a set. 30 years ago, they were in every household in America. I mean, there were very few households that did not have a set of encyclopedias. I remember using them when I was a kid in grade school and in junior high and stuff. I absolutely used them. So, I mean, I was very familiar with them. I used them on a lot of school projects. And so to me, I was very familiar with them, you know, but like I said, I was probably one of the last generations that will ever use them and understand that. So anyway, let's, Joe says it'd be cool to have an oil can of Vidal. I'll go with that poster. I've got a lot of Vidal cans. In fact, I picked one up this week. I picked up a beautiful one. Actually, it's a Flying A, but I think that was a division of Vidal. I think is what that one I got this week. But I've got some Vidal cans too. So, but yeah, it's a great poster, and I do like it. Thanks for that comment, Joe. That's right, James. You had to have them for school projects. You had to have encyclopedias back in the day for school projects because you didn't have, you couldn't go to the library at 9 o'clock at night. You had to have something to look some stuff up in. Not that I put my school projects off until 9 o'clock the night before they were due or anything like that. Other than like all of them. So yeah. Actually, that's why I had to have encyclopedias, because I usually did it at 9 o'clock the night before it was due, and there were no other options to go get information to try to patch something together to finish the project. So, yeah, I may have a little experience with that from when I was younger. But anyway, let's give away a mobile oil outboard oil can. Like I said, conditions a little bit rough, but it does still have cool graphics, good colors, of course, the red, white, and blue, all original metal can. And trivia tonight. We had a video on a 69 and a 1970 Chevy Impala two-door hardtops that I just drug in. That pair of cars, the only thing I had here at all in 69 or 70 was a half and half. I had a 70 Impala four-door that somebody put a 69 front clip on. So I had half of one and half of the other. That was all I had in 69 and 70 Impala until I picked up this pair of two-door hardtops. Old School says, don't worry, we're all plagiarized anymore. Yeah. Because that's true. You had to do that. That's a great point, Old School. If you got it out of the encyclopedia and you didn't mention the, your source for it, yeah, then you got in trouble for that. You got docked for that. So that's another good point. You had to reference those materials that you used. But in that video with the 69 and the 70 Impala, the 69 was actually a factory 396 car. The 70 was a factory 350 car. No motor trainings left in either one. But both two-door hardtops, a lot of good parts on them. So I had to get those things drug in and put them in the row. But for tonight's trivia question, who was the Chevy dealer that sold that 70? We covered that in the video, so I'll keep my eyes peeled for that. I've still got a few people on Facebook, so I'm going to be watching for both of them on both formats for the winner for the Chevy dealer that sold the 1970 Impala originally. And that being said, as I'm watching for the correct answer, we're going to get ready to give away a set of Hemi valve covers. So we're going to grab the big Buick oil can right here. Names are in it. Who is in? We'll run through the list of who is in real quick. If I do not, Old School got it. Fuller, that is correct. It was Fuller Chevrolet. So Old School, get a hold of me when we get done, and we can get that on the way to you as we get ready for the raffle. In the big Buick oil can right now, we have George, Kevin, George again. George went in twice. He must be excited about the Hemi valve covers. William, Lee, and Jason. If I didn't read your name and you sent payment, then let me know so that we can try to figure out what happened and get you in for the next month's raffle. That is what I got both in the mail and on PayPal. So if you sent money and I did not read your name, let me know so we can get it straightened out for next month. All those names I just read are in the big Buick oil can right now. And they're going to get, and whoever's name comes out first is going to get these Hemi valve covers for your garage. These are great. I love them. Chrysler Industrial, not a very common one. A lot of times you can stumble onto some of the Chrysler Firepowers. or, possibly a DeSoto or a Red Ram Dodge. The Chrysler Industrials, cool valve covers that you don't see very often, and neat pieces. So we're going to draw for that. Then we're going to draw another name for the Champion oil can. Obviously, like we've talked about before, if your name comes out first, you are not eligible for the oil can. Pooey. Names are in there. All the little slips are in there. All the names with them that we just read off. So let's see who we're going to ship the valve covers to. All right, I got somebody here. Let's see who we got. Right here. George. George is our winner, which I guess he bought in twice, so he must have wanted in pretty bad. So, George, we're going to get those valve covers off to you, and I can get that shirt on the way to you as well, because I still got that. So, Big Job's on with us. He was at a car show, and but hey, he made it for the end. But George, we're going to get those valve covers to you. Now, the Champion oil can. This is an original metal can, actual metal corrugated can, kind of a unique can. Great colors, great graphics. It's even improved Champion Deluxe motor oil. So, George is not eligible, which he's got a lot of chances in there. We may end up pulling his name again for as often as he bought in. But so if we pull George's name again, we'll pull another name out of the Big Buick can until we get a different winner. Let's see. What do we got here? No, we got a different one. Bill Wagaman. So we're going to get that one out to William, or Bill. You go by William on YouTube, so I'm used to calling you William, but you had Bill on your envelope, so that's what we went with on that. So there are the winners for tonight, or for this month's raffle. Actually, the last 2 months, since the last couple months have been kind of screwed up. So, William, I think you mailed yours, so I should have your mailing information. George, you can give me a shout tomorrow or whatever, and I'll get these Hemi valve covers boxed up and on the way to you. Now, who wants to hear about the next raffle? I've got a really cool piece. It's a little bit bulky. So, if I don't have any problem with any of our Canadian friends or anybody else playing, if you've got a way to help know how to ship this thing. It's a little bit bigger than the valve cover, so that's going to be the tricky part about it. So if you're out of the country and you know a good way to ship it, I'll be more than happy to work with you if you want to get in on the raffle. But this is kind of a cool piece. Multiple different ideas and things I see people do with these. So let's take a look at it. It's a cool piece. If nothing else, it's a great wall hanger for your shop. But like I said, it's a little bit big and a little bit bulky, but it is cool. We're going to raffle off a radiator shell for a Hup-mobile. This just came out of an old grain bin in western Kansas. Like I said, it is bigger than the valve covers. It has the original badge on it. It is intact. I see a lot of people, you can either make shelves out of them. They'll put shelving in here. If you can see here, it is fairly wide. So you can actually put shelves in these to put oil cans in them. I've actually seen people put mirrors in them and hang them in their bathroom. I mean, because you can put a nice size mirror in here and literally use it for like a vanity mirror. This thing is, about 15, 16 inches across and, almost 20 inches high. So you could do, like I said, a lot of this piece here is removable. It's just part of the old bracket hanging down. So you could, like I said, or use it for a picture frame. Put your picture in it. Put a picture of your car in it. I mean, just like I said, so yeah, the whole old school's right there with me. Put a family portrait in it, just like that. So far, lots and lots of comments popping up. Everybody seems to like it. So I guess that's good. Jess says she'll just pick it up when she comes and gets her Nash. So nobody else has to worry about it. It's what Jess thinks. So Ironhead's on with us. Glad you made it, Ironhead. Let's see. Jim's got a Model A grill shell with shelves in it for a spark plug collection. There again, oil can spark plugs. You can even put, shelves in them. Put your promo models in it, I mean, like I said, so much. Kevin says mounted on the front of the Tesla. So many different cool things you can do with these. And that's what's so great about these grill shells. Love the original badge on it. Got a couple chips in it, but Jason said he's going to win it and put a shelf in it for his dump truck that he won. But like I said, tons and tons and tons of uses for this. That's right. Okay, sounds good, William. I got your information to get the can on the way to you. So they're neat. Like I said, it's a little bit bigger, a little bit bulkier than what we usually do on here, but it's so neat. It literally was just found about a month ago in an old grain bin in western Kansas. So that's where it came from. It's, even if we can see here, even the lower brace in this thing is not rusted out. It's still there. It's got a little surface rust on it. It's got a little tear in it right here in the bottom. But this thing has been inside that grain bin for who knows how long. I also got about 300 license plates from the mid-70s out of there, many of which were new old stock. So I'm guessing they were mid-70s, 74, 75 Kansas license plates. New plates, so maybe they got them in this, they were leftovers from in 76 or 77. Maybe they threw this stuff in there, I'm guessing. I don't know, just based on that. But that's where this came from. Fresh out of a western Kansas grain bin, and probably has been there at least 40 years, if not a little longer than that. So Ironhead says he needs it for his rat rod. It is cool. It is neat. And like I said, if you're out of the country and you want to play, that's fine. Just let me know if you've got an idea on how to ship it, because I don't have any really good sources to ship out of the country. But it is a cool piece, and I'm glad we've had such a great response to it already, because I'm glad you guys like it, because I thought it was neat, different. It's even got the radiator spout part on the top of it. Like I said, this is bolt-on piece. Somebody cut this, and it is just bolted on there. I'm going to leave it on there in case somebody has a use for it, but you can take it off. It just has a bolt right there to take that piece off. It does still have the radiator neck on it, has some kind of shape to the top as well. So neat piece. That's what we're going to give away, the Hutmobile grill shell for the August raffle. So we'll set that thing off over to the side, and we'll get pictures posted of it soon so you can check it out. But glad you guys are excited about it, and we're going to get that on the way to somebody here in about a month. So get your chances in. You can mail them just like William did. He won by mailing them. Or you can use PayPal. The PayPal information and the mailing information are both in the text for this video. And get your chances in, and let's give it away. Now, second place prize, I haven't decided yet. I got that ready tonight. Like, well, we'll announce that tonight, and then next week we'll announce the second place prize. So we'll keep that in mind as well. We're going to announce that next week, and we'll add a little more suspense to next week for you. So, anyway, out on the road. Obviously, I didn't haul any cars because I was out on the road all week. We got home about 11:30 Thursday night. But of course, I was still buying stuff. Obviously, like we talked about, I bought a bunch of stuff to KKOA swap meet, the 42 to 47 Ford truck parts, 4748 Chevy car grill. I actually stumbled onto a load of Buick grills, which is kind of different. 1954 Buick grill, a pretty decent one. 1955 Special or Century grill bar, and ornament, and a 1960 Buick grill. So I've got those cleaned up. Those are on Facebook as well. Ironhead, who won the valve covers? George Collada is our winner on the valve covers. So one of our regulars that hangs out with us, George must have wanted them pretty bad because he hit me on PayPal twice to get a lot of chances in there. So anyway, George won that, and William won the oil can. William Wagaman, another one of our regulars, won the Champlin Deluxe oil can for second place. So big job. Buddy of mine got a 32 Ford grill on the wall in his man cave with speakers and headlights that are synced to a stereo. That would be pretty cool. So anyway, plus actually the load where that grill came from I bought a whole bunch of stuff on that load. That grill I got a couple weeks ago. Then I went back and got another load from the same guy out of the same place. And I got a whole bunch of stuff in there. Another outside sun visor. But it is for a split windshield, George, so it won't work for your Oldsmobile. But another outside sun visor. All those license plates came out of the same place as the grill. I got those right before I went on vacation. More signs, which shocks no one, I'm sure. So I've got some pictures to post of that load on Facebook soon as well. So all that stuff is some of it's already on Facebook. Some more of it will be going on Facebook there. What's coming up this week video wise? I've still got new inventory I haven't showed you, so I've got to get some more video shot on the new inventory and get you caught up on that. I've still got a couple of farmyard tours on that big load of 26 cars and trucks that I bought. So I've got another one. I've got a couple more of those. We might try to squeeze one of those in yet this week. I've showed you the two out in the pasture. I've got two more from up behind the barns and the buildings of all those vehicles where they were stashed as I found them. So that stuff's all coming up. The Pioneer Auto Show videos, I probably won't start on any of those this week. I probably won't get that far. And we'll talk about that next week, the Pioneer Auto Show in Murdo, South Dakota. We'll get into that when next Sunday night and talk about Dave and his crew up there and the amazing collection they've got there as well. And I've got a lot of videos on that stuff too. So George, 6970 Mustang or Cougar clutch pedals, nothing there. I've got Mustangs, but they're all automatics, and I don't have any 69 or 70 Cougars, so nothing on that. I know a guy in Oklahoma that might. If you watch the videos from my buddy's place in Oklahoma where he had a bunch of Mustangs and Cougars, his number is actually on those videos. He's kind of, when it comes to Ford performance parts, I send everybody to him. He's kind of the guy on that. So you might look at those videos and get his number off of those, and that might be a possibility there as well. So anyway, that's about what I've got for you guys tonight. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up. Any other comments, be sure to throw them up there real quick as we wrap up. We'll sure try to squeeze everybody in. And Kevin always enjoys the new inventory videos. We got a lot of them coming. I can't believe how many cars I've got bought here lately. So Old School says good night. Thanks for being here. Bradley, any SVT items? Not specifically SVT, depending on what you're looking for on that. So anyway, that's what I've got. Like I said, it was a good week. I got away for a couple of days. Just was frustrating when I was up there when you found out what everything cost, but still good to get away for a couple of days, getting back in the groove now. Got to get some cars picked up. My good buddy Phil's going to be here this week. Super excited about seeing Phil. And got to go get those cars picked up for the F&E Collector Auto Auction. Be sure to check that stuff out. Keep an eye on that website for new inventory, or hit us up on YouTube or Facebook on that. And would love to see some of you guys out here on October 2nd for the auction. And lots of stuff going on. So glad you guys made it. Obviously, lots more cool stuff for Toy Tuesday because I bought a bunch of stuff on the road. Like I said, more signs, more toys, more memorabilia, which I know shocks no one. I think I was going through stuff that I bought in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I think I've got like another month's worth of Toy Tuesdays lined out in memorabilia that I bought in the last couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that stuff on Tuesday night. Frank, 53 Willys sedan delivery back doors. I do not have any sedan delivery Willys at all. So nothing there. I do have some Aero sedans in that era, but I do not have any sedan delivery stuff in that era. So Kevin says, see us on Toy Tuesday. So yeah, be sure to jump on with a 7 o'clock Tuesday night. We'll go ahead and go back live on that one. Yes, Big Job PayPal info is in the text for this video. If you go back and click on it where I put the information in there, PayPal info is on there. Ellen, North Carolina, Toy Tuesday, 7 o'clock on Central Time on Tuesday evenings. We do memorabilia, not always necessarily toys, but some sort of memorabilia. Maybe toys, maybe oil cans, maybe signs, some sort of automotive, gas and oil related memorabilia stuff is Toy Tuesday at 7 o'clock Central Time. So be sure to jump on with us there and check that out as well. Have a lot of fun doing it. And like I said, I've come across a lot of cool stuff here over the last few weeks that, like I said, I literally think I got like a month of Toy Tuesdays lined out. So Old School says email sent. I'll have to check that after we bail off of here and see what we've got there. And so I can get into a different tab after I get these computers off the live. So I will check on that and see. And if you don't, and I'll try to fire you a note back to make sure that it's there. And it depends on which address you send it to as well. So I'll have to double check that. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We're going a little long tonight. I don't want to keep you guys tied up forever. I've got to get to work tonight. I've got a lot of stuff I got to get on eBay. 4748 Chevy car parts. If you're a Fleetline guy, CSE3. Okay. I don't use that email very often, so I'll go in and look for that one and try to find that. And confirm that one on there. I use that for PayPal, but that's about it. That's just the one I've had on PayPal for eons, so I've just never switched it. So anyway, that's what's going on. If you're a Fleetline guy, I'm getting ready to list a bunch of Fleetline strips tonight on eBay. So let's see. Other email, cse2@yahoo.com is the one I check the most. Obviously, I've got a Google. I've got a Google one. I've got a couple of Yahoo ones. So cse2@yahoo.com is probably the best way to get a hold of me. But I can check that Cox account as well. Joe says, see you next week. Lee's already in on the raffle. So Lee's not messing around. He is already in for this month's raffle for the Hupmobile grill shell. So be sure to check that out. That's going to be it's a great one. I'm glad you guys are that excited about it. It's a neat piece, and it's going to be a great addition to somebody's collection, whether they make a shelf out of it, whether they use it on a rat rod, whether they make a mirror out of it. Tons of potential for it. Cool piece. So anyway, I'm going to bail off. I'm going to get to work. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you 7 o'clock Central Time Tuesday evening. We'll check out some cool memorabilia, and we will definitely be back here next Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central Time for Sunday Night Live Chat. Thanks for swinging by, everybody. I super appreciate your support. I still can't believe you guys come by and hang out, and we have a great time on here, and it means a lot. And you guys are what makes this thing so. You guys are what makes this thing special. You guys are what makes this thing what it is. So, thanks for being here. I'm gonna get to work. We will see you Tuesday night and next Sunday night. Thanks for watching, everybody.